on time after the European Council in its Article 50 formation. Now, without further ado, I first invite the President of the European Council, Donald Tusk, to take the floor.
Thank you, Preben. Today, the European Council endorsed the agreement on the withdrawal of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland from the European Union and the European Atomic Energy Community. On this basis, the European Council invited the Commission, the European Parliament and the Council to take the necessary steps to ensure that the agreement can enter into force on the 30th of March 2019, so as to provide for an orderly withdrawal. The European Council approved the political declaration setting out the framework for the future relationship between the European Union and the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. The European Council restated the Union's determination to have as close as possible a partnership with the United Kingdom in the future. I quote this passage of today's conclusions as it contains the essence of our meeting. Ahead of us is the difficult process of ratification as well as further negotiations. But regardless of how it will all end, one thing is certain. We will remain friends until the end of days, and one day longer. Thank you.
Thank you. And now Jean-Claude Juncker, the President of the European Commission.
Oui, c'est un jour où nous sommes satisfait du résultat obtenu, mais c'est un jour très triste. Voir un pays comme le Royaume-Uni, la même remarque, trouver sa place à l'égard de tous les pays qui quittent l'Union européenne ne donne pas lieu à du champagne ni à des applaudissements. C'est un jour triste. Et tous ceux qui aujourd'hui se sont exprimés au Conseil européen essayaient de partager leur tristesse. Elle fut largement, sinon unanimement, partagée. Il y a plus d'un an que la Commission européenne s'est vue confier le mandat de conduire ces négociations avec le Royaume-Uni. Nous avons un commun accord, Donald et moi, chargé notre ami Michel Barnier de conduire dans les détails cette négociation. Je l'ai suivi avec une intensité croissante. J'ai souvent vu Michel Barnier pour échanger nos idées sur la suite des événements. Parfois nous étions en désaccord, mais très rarement. Très souvent, nous nous sommes mis d'accord. En fait, nous nous sommes mis d'accord toujours parce que sa difficulté fut celle de maintenir l'unité des 27. Ce n'est pas une maigre performance que d'avoir, en dépit des pressions qui se sont exercées venant très souvent du Royaume-Uni sur les États membres, qu'il ait pu faire en sorte que l'unité des 27 fût maintenue, non pas seulement sur la durée des négociations, mais jour après jour, parce qu'il a souvent vu les représentants des États membres, les ambassadeurs, les Sherpas et toute la compagnie, et aussi les membres du Steering Committee du Parlement européen, parce qu'il ne faut pas oublier que le Parlement européen, pour ce qui concerne l'Europe, aura le dernier mot. Nous avions un problème in fine avec nos amis espagnols, que j'aime beaucoup, tout comme j'aime le pays, son roi, son Premier ministre, son prédécesseur. Et nous avons été à même de nous mettre d'accord sur les arrangements qui concernent Gibraltar. Ceux qui ne sont pas espagnols ne mesurent pas l'importance de cette question pour le Royaume d'Espagne. J'en ai parlé souvent au Premier ministre, j'en ai parlé à Sa Majesté le Roi ces derniers jours, et je voulais dire ici que l'accord que nous avons obtenu est un accord qui est bon pour l'Espagne. Nuestro querido y solidario están con España. nous avons pu admirer le travail qui fut celui de mon ami Michel Barnier. La Commission fut chargée de conduire cette négociation. Personne d'autre que la Commission, d'ailleurs, n'aurait pu la conduire. Je voudrais ici rendre hommage, un hommage appuyé à Michel Barnier, mais aussi à celles qui l'ont entouré. Vous savez, il y a ceux qui apparaissent à la télé, qui travaillent. Puis il y a ceux qui permettent aux autres qui sont à la télé de travailler. Et donc je voudrais rendre hommage ici à Sabine Menon et à Stéphanie Rizzo, qui furent les principales collaboratrices de Michel. Mais comme Michel a négocié au nom de la Commission, je ne manquerai pas de faire un hommage appuyé, là encore, à mon secrétaire général, Martin Selmayr, à ma chef de cabinet, Clara Martinez, et à ceux et celles qui l'ont entouré, Richard Stopchak, enfin c'est un nom imprononçable, mais lui il est reconnaissable, et puis à Pauline Dejmekrak, parce que sans eux, cet accord n'eût pas été possible. This is the best deal possible. I'm inviting those who have to ratify this deal in the House of Commons to take this in consideration. This is the best deal possible for Britain. This is the best deal possible for Europe. This is the only deal possible. The only deal possible. And I would like to add one sentence concerning the civil servants coming from Britain, those who are at the service of the Commission. Nobody of them will be pushed out. Nobody will be ejected. I have an experience of more than 3 decades in Europe. I always admired the professionalism, the loyalty, the commitment of those coming from Britain to serve the Commission. So I can't promise that promotions there will be, but nobody will be ejected from the Commission's system. Good deal, sad deal, not the deal itself, but the Brexit is a sad moment for the European Union. And I want to say for Britain too. Future history will prove this. This is the best deal possible. This is the only deal possible. I'm convinced that those having to ratify this deal and in Westminster and in the European Parliament will have this in their minds when they are taking their individual decision. Every member of the European Parliament that very day where this comes for ratification is Europe. Everyone individually. The same applying to the members of the House. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally over to Michel Barnier, the EU Chief Negotiator.
Good afternoon to all of you. And first of all, thank you to you, Donald and Jean-Claude, for inviting me to be on your side for this press conference. Today we have, in fact, reached a fair and balanced agreement with the UK. This is the best deal possible given the circumstances. Throughout these extraordinary, complex, difficult negotiations, we worked constructively with the UK, never against the UK, never. And the UK worked constructively with us, and thanks, if I may, to the British team. The agreement must now be ratified. It is time for everybody to take their responsibilities. Today's agreement will help create the trust and the confidence needed for negotiating our close and unprecedented future relationship. We will, as I said often, we will remain allies, partners and friends with the United Kingdom. Si je peux ajouter un mot en français
If I may just add a few words in French.
Expliquer pourquoi ce résultat dans une circonstance grave.
I do so to explain
Le Brexit est une situation grave,
in a
comme l'a dit
very
le président
serious
Juncker.
situation.
Pourquoi
Brexit is a very
nous sommes arrivés
serious
à ce
situation.
résultat
But I'd just like to
sur un
explain
traité de
why
600
we've
pages
ended up with this outcome.
qui apporte de la
An
certitude
agreement, a
juridique
treaty which amounts to
à tous
600
ceux qui
pages.
sont touchés par
It gives
l'incertitude créée
legal
par le Brexit, les
certainty to
citoyens
all
d'abord,
those who are affected
les
by
entreprises, les collectivités, les États.
uncertainty created by Brexit. People,
Ce
citizens,
travail n'aurait pas
businesses,
été possible,
states.
je veux simplement le dire,
And
Messieurs
all
les
of this
Présidents,
work
sans
would
votre
not have
confiance
been
personnelle,
possible, Mr. President,
sans la
without
confiance
your
du Parlement
personal
européen et de
trust
son président, M. Tajani, de Guy
and
Verhofstadt,
the trust of
et sans la
President Tajani
mobilisation
of the European Parliament and Guy
exceptionnelle de
Verhofstadt.
toutes les expertises, de
None of
toutes les
this would have been possible
compétences,
without the exceptional
d'abord
expertise and
celle que le
skills
président
of our
Juncker m'a
teams.
permis de rassembler
First and foremost, the team
au
which
sein de la
President
Commission,
Juncker allowed me to gather
puisque j'ai toujours
together
négocié
within the
au nom
Commission.
de la Commission européenne.
As I have always done, I have been
Le président a bien
negotiating on
voulu citer
behalf
Sabine
of the
Veillant
European
et
Commission.
Stéphanie
Sabine
Rizzo.
Veillant, Stephanie Rizzo, he's already
Comme beaucoup
mentioned.
d'autres à la Commission,
particular.
je veux dire que ces deux femmes,
But like many others
comme tous ceux qui m'ont
in the
aidé, font
Commission,
honneur à
these
la
two ladies
fonction publique
have
européenne.
really done the European
Et
civil
puis,
service
je
proud,
présente tous que votre équipe,
with all their colleagues as well.
Piotr qui
And
est
I'm
ici,
thinking
votre
of
chef
your
de
team,
cabinet,
Mr. President,
Jeppe,
Piotr,
toute l'équipe du secrétariat général.
head of your private office,
Et de notre
Jeppe,
côté,
the Secretary
je
General
l'ai
and
dit ce
his
matin aussi
team.
devant les chefs d'État de gouvernement, tous les services de la
And as I
Commission.
said, in
Vous
front of the
n'imaginez
heads
pas,
of state and
mesdames et messieurs, à
government
quel
this morning,
point les
all the
directions générales, le
departments in the
secrétaire
Commission
général de la
have
Commission,
contributed. The Directorate
Martin,
General, the Secretariat,
Clara Martinez et l'équipe du
Martin,
cabinet
Clara
avec Richard et
Martinez,
Paulina
the
que je
team
connais
from the
bien.
private office, Richard and
Luis
Paulina,
Romero,
whom I know very well.
Comme
Luis Romero, I'd
les
also
deux
like to
services juridiques
mention.
ont Hubert Légal. Nous parlons d'un
the
traité.
heads
Nous
of the
parlons d'un
two
traité.
legal services, Council and
Et
Commission.
donc, tous
We
les
are,
mots
after all,
comptent,
talking
comme
about
les
a
juristes le savent. Et
treaty. As
voilà,
all
je veux dire
lawyers know, every word
que ce
counts.
travail a été possible
So what
grâce
I'm
à cette
saying is that
mobilisation
all
de
of
toutes
this
les
work has only been
expériences,
possible
toutes les
because we've
expertises
pooled all this expertise and
et toutes les
experience.
compétences. Et
all the
nous avons
skills that these
travaillé cette
persons, these
unité.
people could
J'ai
muster.
soigneusement cultivé cette unité que les chefs d'État et
I've
de
worked
gouvernement
towards
ont voulu
unity and I've
sous
very
l'autorité
carefully nurtured
de
the
Donald Tusk
unity
depuis le
which
début.
heads of state and government under
Et
Donald
nous
Tusk have
continuerons,
wanted to
si
show
vous
from
voulez
the
bien,
very
à la
outset.
cultiver.
We
Unité
will
entre les États membres
continue
et unité entre les institutions.
ensure that
C'est comme ça que nous
unity,
sommes parvenus à ce résultat et
unity
j'étais à
among
ma
member
place,
states
que
and
je connais
unity
bien,
amongst
très fier et
institutions.
très heureux de pouvoir conduire jusqu'à
I've been
maintenant
a
ce
part
travail.
of one of
Merci.
those institutions in the past. I've been very
Thank you
happy to
very much.
continue the
The
work
floor is
under
now
this
open for your
aegis.
questions.
Thank you.
Let me say from the outset that there will only be time for a few questions in view of there will be other press conferences after this, also that of the Prime Minister of Britain. The first question goes to the gentleman in the third last row, Alex.
Thank you. Alex Barker from the Financial Times. All three of you have, at various points, made clear that the best deal on offer for Britain would be remaining a EU member state. Do you think MPs should keep that in mind when they're voting on this package? Is it still reversible?
I don't think it would be a good idea for the three of us to lecture the House, because the House is the House and members of Parliament are members of Parliament and they have to make up their minds. I was saying at the very beginning that I'm sad because this is not a glorious moment for the European integration and for the pursuit of what we have started in common so many years ago. But it's now up to the British Parliament to decide, and later on, or even before, I don't know how the choreography will be organized for the European Parliament. I'm totally convinced that this is the only deal possible. Those who do think, by rejecting the deal, that they would have a better deal, will be disappointed in the first seconds after the rejection of this deal. And although we are happy that this is behind us, to a large extent, we are sad not about the result, because the result was is the one it is, but we are unhappy about the exit of Great Britain from Europe. But opposition to what some people think, the work is not over. the biggest part of the work which has to be done will start now, because divorce is a tragic moment, as some of you must know. Payments have to be made, but the future understanding is one which has to be constructed. I don't think that Britain will be a third country like other third countries are third countries. There is between us something which are the remainings of love.
If nobody else wants to add, we'll take one more question. Alistair, please, yes, in the fifth row to the right.
Alistair MacDonald from Reuters. You've said it's the best deal possible. Are you saying that if Theresa May loses in the British Parliament and comes back asking for changes, that no changes are possible?
This is the only deal possible.
We shouldn't, I think, to speculate on what if. At least, for sure, I am not a fortune teller. This is why it's at least for me, too difficult to predict what will be the result of the ratification process.
Thank you. This was the last question and concludes the press conference.
Again.